Hi, this is Curt, and welcome to another edition of Fire Law Roundup.
It's a nice transition to our next case. So if everyone's in here confused, what the heck did I just learn? You learn nothing. Don't create dangerous situations when it's avoidable. But now we have an issue, right? Where we have, let's go to Sacramento because it transitions so nicely. And I think what happened is the Sacramento Fire Department is battling a junkyard fire, and they got a bulldozer or forklift or something. I think it's a bulldozer to help clear the way to get to the fire. And they destroyed this individual's $68,000 vehicle. The allegation is, listen, you didn't have to push that vehicle out of the way with a bulldozer or forklift, whatever it was. You didn't have to destroy the vehicle just to get to this other fire. And here, now this raises some really interesting questions, and we don't have any more of the facts. So let me present one possible factual scenario. I'm making this up. Let's assume they could have gone straight, and maybe it would have taken a little bit longer, but they could have gone straight and then taken a right and got to the same place without having to push anything out of the way. Or they went, wanted to go right to it the shortest way possible, so they knocked a vehicle out of the way. If they had another way, right, because that's what they're saying, there was another way, you didn't have to destroy my vehicle. If there was another way and time was not an issue, right, something's on fire, it's burnt, and by the way, it's in a junkyard. Right? There's nothing. Now, I don't know why this person's $68,000 vehicle was parked in front of the junkyard, but nonetheless, right? And that could be a defense too. We assumed it was junk, maybe not. I'm making that up. But nonetheless, there was really no emergency, maybe air quality or something. There's really no emergency when things are burning in a junkyard. Let's be fair.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it depends on how big the junkyard is and whether the fire was extending. And the fact that there was a bulldozer there leads me to conclude that, if I'm assuming it's a fire department bulldozer or one that the fire department had brought in, but you start using bulldozers you don't use a at a single vehicle fire, right?
Yeah, right.
You don't. What you're talking about bulldozers is where you're concerned about, a major interface fire, and you're trying to, clear a fire break. Yeah. So this may have been a pretty significant incident. I don't know.
And maybe, and that's the unfortunate part. We just don't have the facts. But I think the simple thing is, listen, if they could have exercised judgment, which I'm not saying they had to, and taken an obviously different route, and they knew the route was there, and time wasn't an issue, right? I'm throwing in a bunch of factors that would relieve the fire department of duty. On the other hand, I'm also assuming this person was parked somewhere that they should have been. Maybe they weren't. Right?
They were the couple. It was a husband and wife, and they had parked the car. They were both long distance truck drivers, and so this was a parking area where the truck drivers would park their cars and then pick up their their Peterbilt or whatever, right. and go. So that was parked there for a long period of time. So it wasn't a question that they didn't ask them to come move the car. It was a question that they were out of town.
But they were in a legal space, right?
Yeah.
So presumably, if it's a designated parking space, that parking space is not blocking an entrance to anything. So the question would be, did they really have to do that? Look, if they had to move that vehicle, no problem, right? And the insurance company will probably cover it anyway, or maybe the junkyard should, who knows, right? But if there was no other way to get there, probably no liability. If they could have exercised reasoned judgment and they could have just gone a different way, maybe. Either way, it's going to be an insurance claim anyway.
It's going to be an insurance claim. And, I think that there's probably, this is the type of incident that is going to be, whether it's a public duty doctrine or whether it's going to go to sovereign immunity, I think there's going to be some sort of protection for the fire department, even if they were negligent. Now, if they went beyond negligence, then, the immunity isn't going to help you. But if they were just negligent.
I'm assuming they didn't intentionally try to run over a car and destroy a car just because they could.
I had a case. I had a case early in my career where it was a snowplow case, but guy had a classic car. I forget if it was it was a totally rebuilt mint antique car. And we had kind of a snowstorm that ended up starting earlier than predicted, and he parked it in a public parking lot at a recreational area. And then it snowed all night and snowed the next day, and quite a bit of snow. And whoever had a snowplow just intentionally destroyed this guy's car. All four sides of it were caved in. I mean,
Jesus.
And it wasn't insured because it was, it was an antique and it wasn't properly insured. And so, but we couldn't prove that it was a city plow. We're convinced that it was a city plow, but the police mishandled the paint chips that we gave them.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
It was a mess.
Well, let's assume that's not this one.
Yeah.